If you are in Silicon Valley, especially in places like Los Gatos, Monte Sereno, Saratoga, Campbell, Sunnyvale, Willow Glen, or even Almaden Valley, and you are dealing with a life change that might mean selling your home, and you're torn between, we need to sell fast, and I absolutely want the most money possible out of this sale, well, then this video is for you. Right now, for single family homes in our core cities, fast basically means 0 to 14 days on the market. Under 2 weeks is a strong, fast sale. Condos and townhomes are a completely different story. The median days on market is closer to a month, and some are sitting for hundreds of days. Builders are putting lots of pressure on resales, and so that just needs to be its own episode. So today, I'm talking to single family sellers who need speed and care deeply about their bottom line. If we're meeting for the first time, I'm Tracy. I've been selling here in Silicon Valley for more than 20 years. Welcome to Tracy Pina Real Estate, where I share my hard-won real estate knowledge that no other agent is really willing to share. I work primarily with tech-savvy sellers and buyers in the $1.2 to $6 million price range in places like Los Gatos, Monte Sereno, Saratoga, Campbell, Sunnyvale, Willow Glen, Almaden Valley, everywhere in Silicon Valley. My strategies have consistently delivered strong results for my listings year after year. And in this video, I'll walk you through how to sell quickly without turning your sale into a fire sale. Fast matters when you're dealing with real life, inheritance, tax timelines, job changes, divorce, but we're not guessing. We're not chasing anything. We're using my personal, proven strategies, custom fit to your property and your situation. When people come to me about selling, it's almost never just, we want to sell fast. It's usually more like, we inherited a house and for tax reasons, we need to sell it. Or we've had this rental for years and we want to move the cash into something else. And maybe one of the most common ones I hear is, there has been a big life change and we have to make decisions sooner than we expected. So, what really needs to be focused on is what is really driving your timing, what kind of product your home actually is, and what path gets you out cleanly without leaving money on the table. So let me share with you my core strategies that I use when I'm helping sellers make informed, financially sound decisions that result in quick sales here in Silicon Valley. And I can also share a couple real life situations that'll probably make you think, yeah, that's totally me too. In other words, how do we sell your Silicon Valley home fast without giving it away? Okay, so let's dive in. First, and the biggest thing you need to understand is that pricing is a tool. It is not a wish. It is not a number you have backed out based on your needs. So here's the thing. Oftentimes, the right move is to price slightly under where the true value is, not because you're discounting or desperate, but because you're deliberately creating a crowd and you're giving buyers room to compete. This works really well when you've done your homework on your comps and also, most importantly, the pending sales in your neighborhood. You've also got to understand what buyers in your micro market have already been trained to expect. And then you back it up with a strong launch and clear offer instructions. This strategy is not throwing out a number and crossing your fingers. We're setting up a structure that leads the market to where your true number is and then beyond. The second key strategic point is that you only get one launch. Coming on the market with half-done photos, no inspections, or the mindset of we'll fix it later if the buyer asks, that's exactly how you end up sitting. For most single-family homes in our core cities, my baseline is home and termite inspections, done. Professional photos, done. And a coherent online presence. If the home is in such rough shape that it truly belongs in the investor lane, then we tailor the approach to achieve the best results possible. Sometimes that's off market, sometimes it's a quiet sell, but no matter what, there is always a plan. Just so you know, broker tours and twilight opens, they make agents appear useful and busy. They're not what sells houses. Price, presentation, strategic plans, and launch quality is what sells a home for top dollar. Okay, third best practice and must-dos. Your home showings and the offer review, they need a plan too. Winging it, rushing it, throwing it on MLS and seeing what happens, all of these will slow your sale down and they'll affect your sale price. For a fast sale at or above market value, I recommend as a best practice to set a time block for showings in 1 or 2 windows that works for the property residents. This lets serious buyers know that you are serious about selling, and serious buyers will always follow directions for viewing homes during a limited window. They know, they get it, they follow directions. When you list on MLS, you also should set an offer date and publish it so that buyers understand they do have time to think, but they don't have forever. I personally don't lie about offers and I don't play games. I create a real window of opportunity and I invite serious buyers into it. And one more piece. If we use a priced to create a crowd strategy, we don't accept a preemptive offer before the deadline because here's the real truth. That number will show up again and likely be beaten on the actual offer date. All right, now that you have the high-level strategy, let me show you how this played out in a real sell. One example that really shows this in action is my client Ruth's parents' investment property in San Jose. Ruth, she found me online and she reached out. I met her parents, and I met the other co-owners. They owned an investment property with 3 paying tenants. It produced great income for them, but they had a need for the cash, and so they wanted it sold. There were 2 permitted structures, 1 unpermitted structure, and long-term month-to-month tenants in all 3 of the units that the sellers were really hoping could stay on with the new owner. When I went to the property, here's what I saw. The front main house had multiple families living in it. The garage had been turned into living space with makeshift bedrooms and a living room separated by curtains. There was no way that this was legal, and it probably wasn't even safe in terms of fire and carbon monoxide codes. There was also a shower wall that was no longer watertight, so that likely whole bathroom needed a redo. And there were also plumbing issues in the crawl space that were discovered in the inspections. Plus, we had that unpermitted ADU. And then on top of that, this property had already been listed with another agent a few years back. The list price had been too high and it sat for roughly a year on the market. Obviously, that strategy did not deliver the result that they needed. So by the time Ruth came to me, the message was very, very clear. They needed the money out yesterday and they needed it sold for top dollar. And we could not blow up the tenants' lives nor expose every corner of this property in the process. So here's what we did. First, we ordered home and termite inspections so we and the buyers knew exactly what we were dealing with, especially around that shower leak and the hidden issues. And then second, we were very selective with photos. We had photos taken throughout the house, and then I chose carefully what photos went on to MLS. Enough for buyers to understand the opportunity, but not a full photo documentary of every space. And then third, we got very intentional about pricing. Automated valuation models like Zillow and Redfin, they had a value of around $1,035,000. It was a good income producing property for the neighborhood, but it was not clean. This was not a retail ready product for a traditional homeowner. And so we listed it at $970,000. That number was below where I believe the true market value was and below some of the neighborhood pendings. But here's the important thing. It fit with how buyers in that micro market were already trained to see list price versus sale price. And then we structured the launch. 1 2-hour showing window total. Tenants were not disrupted over and over. That window was broadly advertised, so any serious buyer knew this is my chance to see it. And then we set the offer date 3 days later, so everyone understood they would be competing. With Ruth and her parents, we had only 2 viable options. Option A, remove or relocate the tenants, spend money on plumbing and other repairs, expose every part of the property, wait, and try to chase a bit more money months down the road. Or option B, position it correctly as an income producing property right now, price it to create a crowd, protect the tenant's privacy as much as possible, and let competition pull the number up without dragging this out. They chose option B. We launched at $970,000, did a 2-hour window of showings. We stuck to the offer date, and the result? We sold for $1,080,000. as is, cash, no contingencies, 10-day close, and the buyers wanted to keep the tenants and not change a thing. We beat the AVMs, we respected their timeline, and we were super strategic. Our first meeting was on March 22nd, and we closed and they got their cash on April 17th. That is only 26 days in total. That is what fast, without giving it away, looks like in real life. So now let's flip this and talk about why homes sit with no offers in our market when they just shouldn't. From my experience, the top 3 reasons that single-family homes are stalled is number 1, they're occupied, they're messy, and they have noticeable odors. Buyers will always struggle, consciously or unconsciously, to see past occupied homes simply because cleaner, prettier options are available. Number 2 reason, the staging is cheap or poorly positioned or both, and these will make rooms feel awkward or smaller. In our Silicon Valley price ranges, staging is to help you get more money, not hurt your chances of a sale. But that's exactly what it does if it's done on the cheap. And then the 3rd reason home sales stall is because serious, potentially big ticket issues like mold or foundation problems either are not properly disclosed or they're not priced in. Buyers will pass quickly and wait for a cleaner, low-risk choice. If the price is simply wrong for what the home is compared to what else is on the market, you will sit. Every property will sell at the right price. Right doesn't mean rock bottom. It means correct for the product, the condition, and the competition. So another sale that really shows how strategy and emotion intersect was a group of sisters who inherited their mom's last home in Los Gatos. They knew realistically that the house was likely going to be torn down or taken down to the studs and rebuilt. They were leaning towards just selling it off market to a flipper. Quick, simple, done. And then one sister found me online. Over several meetings, we talked through what this property really was and who the best buyer probably was. 2 of the sisters already felt like putting a little money into it, making the home rent ready, was probably the right path. One sister was more emotionally connected to the house, and she needed time to process the idea of letting it go. And then another was very pragmatic and just wanted it sold. So that's normal. Real estate may be transactional on paper, but the reality is selling a family home is deeply human. A good agent has to balance that emotional side with the practical side. So here's what we laid out. In Los Gatos, Saratoga, and similar markets, there is a very fine line between spending enough to get top dollar and overspending on upgrades buyers simply will not pay you back for, especially if they plan to tear most of it down. Finding that sweet spot is why a deeply rooted, experienced local agent is helpful. So we discussed the lengthy permitting and approval process here in Los Gatos. And we also talked about the kind of buyer who is so desperate to get into Los Gatos and willing to rent the property while they work through their long design and permitting process. The difference between a flipper who wants a discount for their risk and profit and an end user buyer with plans and patience who may pay more to secure the lot and location is often substantial. So based on that, the sisters decided to invest in a small level of fixing, just enough to make the home rent ready, not remodeled. The goal wasn't to turn it into something it wasn't. The goal was to make it feel usable and safe for an end user buyer who wants a foothold in Los Gatos while they plan their future build. And by doing that, we opened the door to more than just investor offers. We attracted buyers with vision, not just a spreadsheet. And we respected both the emotional connection and the financial outcome for the entire family. So here's how I sum this up for my clients. You can buy speed by underpricing heavily. Someone will show up quickly, but my job is not to give your house away so we can brag about days on market. My job is to use strategy, prep, pricing, launch, and offer structure to get you a timeline that works for your life event and a price that reflects real demand and risk, and terms you feel good about later. Fast matters when you're dealing with cash flow, inheritance, job changes, divorce, everything life throws at you. But fast should never be the only variable. We're aiming for fast and smart, not just fast. If you're somewhere in that life is changing and we might need to sell soon zone, and you're thinking, I want to plan, not pressure, and I don't want to manage a million house tasks, I put something together specifically for you. It's called What to Decide Before You Sell. It's a short guide that walks you through the typical questions that I personally ask my own clients when we sit down to figure out the plan. It'll guide you on how to think about your timeline, your property type, and who's actually making the decisions. Whether your home is better suited for a full retail launch or a more investor-style sale will come out in that guide. And it'll also teach you how to think about inspections, prep, and vendors without trying to do it all on your own. Are you willing to have your home and termite inspections done before you list, using your agent's trusted inspectors? And are you comfortable letting your agent coordinate and manage this process for you? If you're comfortable letting your agent coordinate and manage the process for you, that's exactly how I work. This is how I work with my clients. I tell them, you take what you want from the house, your important belongings, your memories, what you need for your next chapter. And once you have everything you want, you turn the house over to me. I take care of everything to do with the house so you can stay focused on your life. There's a link below where you can grab the guide. Use it as a starting point. Read it, highlight it, share it with whoever is helping you make decisions. You can go through it on your own, and then if it feels right, we can walk through your answers together. When you download it, you'll also see an option to book time with me directly. If you're already at the "we need to talk to Tracy right now" stage, use that to set up a one-on-one strategy session so that we can look at your very specific situation and tailor a plan that works for you guys and your timing together. And if you're not quite ready to talk, that's okay. The guide alone will give you a framework to think about your next steps. So if you're in Silicon Valley, especially if you're in Los Gatos, Monte Sereno, Saratoga, Sunnyvale, Willow Glen, Campbell, Almaden Valley, and you want to understand how to sell fast without giving your house away, grab the guide below and start there. And if you want to go deeper on how we determine your home's true value and pricing strategy, make sure you watch my earlier video on what your Silicon Valley home is really worth right now in today's market. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.